We're diving deep into a movement that really just turned the whole idea of music completely on its head.
We are. We're talking about experimental music.
It all kicked off around the middle of the 20th century, and the reason was, well, composers just got bored.
That's really the core of it. They were bored with the old rules, standard scales, rhythms you could predict, the usual
For
harmonies.
centuries, music had all these strict formulas.
Right. And then all of a sudden you have these musicians looking at a violin or at the sheet music and just asking, what if? What if the rules are the only thing holding us back?
Exactly. So the mission became just pure curiosity.
Hmm.
They started asking these big questions like, can a sound be art, even if it comes from something totally ordinary?
Like a slamming car door.
Or a dropped trash can lid instead of, a perfectly tuned piano.
And this wasn't just about making weird noises for the sake of it. It was a serious attempt to redefine what music even is.
And that movement, it basically laid the groundwork for so many of the sounds you hear today. The electronic stuff, the samples, the glitches.
It's everywhere once you know what to listen for.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If we're going to talk about American experimental music, there's one name you have to start with.
John Cage.
John Cage.
He is absolutely the radical pioneer. He
Really?
came in with a belief that was just completely revolutionary at the time.
Which was?
He believed that all sounds are musical, not just the notes a performer plays on purpose.
You mean like the background noise too?
Everything, the total sound environment, the silence in the room, someone coughing in the audience, the buzz from the lights. He said that's all part of the composition.
That is a massive shift. So the focus moves away from the composer and onto what's happening right now for the listener.
Exactly. Which brings us to his most famous piece. You know the one?
The one where the performer does nothing.
Right. A performer just sits at a piano silently for several minutes.
So what's the music?
The music is everything else. The audience is forced to listen to all the unintended sounds in the room, someone shifting in their seat, their own breathing, maybe a car horn outside.
So you, the listener, become aware of the room as the actual instrument.
He forces you to. He's not cheating, he's just maximizing your attention. He's basically arguing that sound is happening all the time,
Yeah.
and our only job is to just listen to it.
It's about framing noise, not just making it.
Perfectly put.
And he also found ways to frame noise using traditional instruments, which gets us to his invention, the prepared piano.
The prepared piano. It's a perfect example of his whole approach.
So explain what that is.
It's pretty direct. He would take a grand piano and place physical objects like rubber bolts, screws, plastic erasers, even pennies directly between the strings.
Wait. So he basically turned a $100,000 instrument into a hardware store.
Pretty much. And when the musician hits a key, instead of that clear bell-like piano note,
You get what?
you might get a dull thud or a metallic clang or some kind of rattling, buzzing sound.
Yeah.
He completely transformed the piano into a percussion instrument.
He was challenging what the instrument even is.
He was, and he was also challenging the composer's role, which is why he got so interested in randomness.
Right. He didn't want to have total control.
No, he wanted to remove his own personal tastes from the music, so he often used what he called chance operations.
And he'd use the I Ching for that, the ancient Chinese book.
Yeah, he'd toss coins, and the results would tell him what to do, which note to play next, what rhythm to use, things like that.
So he was literally trusting luck to write his music.
He was trusting luck to get his own ego out of the way. He thought the music would be more pure, more universal, if it wasn't just about what John Cage liked.
Okay, so if Cage proves you don't need total control, and you don't need a traditional piano sound, the next question is obvious.
What else can you use?
Right. What else can you use to make music? And that opens the door to using the entire world as your instrument shop.
And they realized that every single object has its own sound, its own vibration, its own unique tone.
So musicians literally started hunting for instruments in the most random places.
Junkyards, construction sites.
Kitchen cabinets. And the point was, you don't need expensive gear to be creative. If you hit a rusted metal trash can lid,
You get a sound that a brand new drum kit could never replicate. They were seeking out these found objects.
and that search for raw sound led to a very specific technique that started over in France.
Musique concrete.
This is such a key idea for modern music. Can you define that for us?
Sure, musique concrete literally means concrete music.
Yeah.
And it's music made entirely from recorded real-world sounds.
Not from written notes.
No. The composer acts more like a sound collector. They go out and record things. A vacuum cleaner, a car engine breaking glass, a door slamming. Those recordings become the raw material for the song.
Okay, so instead of writing a melody for a cello, you're just collecting audio clips. But that's just the first step, right?
Oh, absolutely. The second, and really the most important step, is the manipulation.
What do you mean?
They'd take that raw sound, say the noise of a train, and they would start editing it. They'd slow the recording down on the tape machine until that train sound becomes this massive, deep rumble you don't even
Or
recognize.
speed it up or play it backward.
Exactly. They'd layer it and chop it up, creating a soundscape that would be totally impossible to perform live,
And we have computers to do this today in seconds. Back then, they only had magnetic tape.
which was incredibly hard work. I mean, they had to physically take a razor blade and cut tiny pieces of tape, then splice them back together with sticky tape, just to make one little loop or one clean edit.
The patience that must have taken.
Unbelievable. It turned the recording studio into something like a watchmaker's workshop.
But that idea, taking a real-world sound and messing with it, that is the direct ancestor of the sample in hip-hop and electronic music today.
It's a fundamental inheritance. But while Music Concrete used existing vibrations, the other big breakthrough was creating sound from nothing,
From pure electricity.
which is where the synthesizer changed everything. Right. Because a synth doesn't rely on a physical thing vibrating, like a guitar string. It creates sound from scratch by manipulating electrical signals. It uses things called oscillators to generate pure waves. You're basically building sound from electricity itself.
And the first synthesizers weren't these little keyboards you see on stage today.
Not at all. They were massive. They took up entire rooms in universities. Musicians would spend hours, maybe days, plugging in patch cables and turning dozens of knobs just to find one perfect, unique sound.
Like an impossibly deep bass note or a shimmering high sound.
It shifted the idea of an instrument from acoustics to pure engineering.
And that idea of letting go of control that Cage started, that grew into a whole style of music.
Auditory music. It comes from the Latin word for gambling, for rolling dice.
Because it embraces chance.
Exactly. The composer deliberately leaves some parts of music up to random luck, or, and this is key, up to the performer's choice in that moment.
So the composer might write a bunch of musical phrases.
But then tell the musician, okay, play these in any order you want, or play this one for as long as you feel like it, then move to another one.
So the song sounds different every single time it's played.
Drastically different. It completely removes the idea that there's one single correct version of a piece of music. It keeps it alive.
That willingness to give up control and focus on the process that led composers to invent completely new ways of writing music. And that's where minimalism comes in.
Minimalism is so interesting because it's all about doing more with less.
A lot less. It's all about repetition and being patient. Instead of a complicated melody, a minimalist piece might use just 3 or 4 notes.
And it repeats them over and over and over again for a long time.
The focus is on tiny, subtle changes. Maybe one note gets a little louder, or the rhythm shifts just slightly over the course of several minutes.
It has this hypnotic, trance-like effect. You can't lose track of time. Composers like Steve Reich and Philip Glass made this famous.
And you hear it all the time now in film scores, right? When they want to build suspense or a really intense mood.
Oh, constantly. But if you're not using traditional notes, then you need a new way to write the music down.
Which brings us to graphic notation, because how do you write down a metallic screech or a quiet bubbling sound on regular sheet music?
You can't. So they just stopped using it. They started drawing pictures instead.
Visual scores.
Exactly. They look more like abstract art or like an architect's blueprint than a song. A thick, squiggly red line might mean play a very loud, screeching sound.
And little blue dots could mean make quiet clicking noises whenever you want.
The crucial part is the musician has to look at that drawing and interpret it creatively.
So no 2 performances of the same drawing will ever sound the same.
Never. It's the ultimate bridge between visual art and sound.
Let's talk about time, how they physically manipulated time before digital tools. We have to talk about tape loops.
Before we had digital delay pedals, this is how you made an echo. Musicians would take a long piece of magnetic tape, stretch it in a big loop around a few microphone stands in the studio, and then run it through a tape recorder.
So it would just play continuously.
Over and over. And then they could record new sounds on top of the loop, making the music thicker and more complex, like you're painting with layers of sound.
That process, that physical experimentation, is the direct ancestor of the looping pedals that guitarists and singers use on stage today.
Absolutely. And it also meant that the physical space where the music was happening became an instrument in its own right.
The performance space.
Right. Composers started writing music specifically for certain rooms, maybe a giant cathedral with a huge natural echo.
Or they would put speakers in different corners of a room.
So the sound literally moves around the audience, creating this 3D experience. The room itself becomes part of the music.
And speaking of a live experience, let's touch on the ultimate act of creating music in the moment.
Improvisation,
Making it up completely on the spot. No sheet music, no plan.
just pure instinct,
Yeah.
and listening very, very closely to the other musicians. It requires an incredible amount of skill and trust.
Because you are discovering the song at the exact same moment the audience is hearing it.
And there are no mistakes,
Yeah.
only new directions. It keeps the music so incredibly honest and alive.
So when you put this all together,
Hmm.
why does this matter to someone listening to music today? It might sound kind of academic.
But its influences is, well, it's everywhere.
It has shaped almost everything in popular music.
Absolutely.
Think about it. All the weird sounds you just take for granted now. Distorted guitars, strange electronic noises in a pop song.
The whole idea of sampling in hip-hop, that comes directly from music concrete.
Even the computer tricks used to glitch and chop up vocals in songs today, that's all rooted in those early experiments with cutting up tape.
These pioneers, they taught us that it's always okay to break the rules, to be
Yeah.
curious, to try things that have never been done before. And that drive didn't just change music, it helped push technology forward.
Every weird sound in a video game you play, or every time a DJ drops a sample in a track, it has roots in someone decades ago, just tinkering with a tape machine, trying to find art in the noise.
Experimental music showed us that creativity really has no limits, and you can find art in any sound, anywhere.
So if the audience's coughs and the street noise are now officially part of the music, does that mean every moment of your day is actually a performance? Keep listening closely to the world around you.
Good luck with your studies.